Hi guys, so I am here to talk about part 2 on books that have helped me through recovery. Now I'm going to talk about books that have helped me go through more serious issues. First up, books about eating disorders and that can help out someone with if you have an eating disorder. But one that helped a lot was Skinny by Donna Cooner. It's a great book and I highly recommend it to anyone that's ever had deep issues with their body image. It's great. Because it's the main lesson and it's really cheesy and everyone tells you that. It's that even if you change your appearance, it's not going to solve all of your problems. You know, it's if you're fat, if you're too skinny, if you're too this, too that, it's not about that. You can change it, but it's really, at the end, it's not about that. And there's also Wintergirls by Laurie Halse Anderson, which is a book about a girl that deals with anorexia. I've heard really great things about it, but I started to read it and I could only get like to a quarter of the book because it ended up being triggering for me. It's very common, finding yourself with triggers. I've dealt with this with certain movies or certain books or stuff, so it happens. This one was a trigger for me, so definitely didn't finish it. But maybe it can help you, so if anyone has read it, leave a comment letting me know what up with the book, if it does seem helpful or something. Just because it was a trigger for me does not mean it's going to be a trigger for you, just want to clear that up. But yeah, personally, could not finish with it. Now with suicidal thoughts and heavy depression and such, so I have tried 2 times to end my life, and thankfully that did not happen. And I was in a really dark place, and for the longest of times I thought I would have never thought, you know, that I would reach 20 years old, that I would be here, because it was that bad. You just want the pain to go away so desperately that you're willing to do anything, and you cannot see a better way out. And the book that literally saved my life was this one, 13 Reasons Why by J. Asher, which talks about the suicide of Hannah Baker, which is, she kills herself. But she leaves some tapes behind, living her story in detail and giving 13 reasons as to why she killed herself. It's a really dark novel, and I will be making a more in-depth review for this one, which you will find linked here whenever it's up. It's a dark contemporary novel, hits on a lot of heavy issues, such as also sexual abuse and such, and yeah, it was kind of hard to grasp, but I am very thankful to it. It's very simple, the way it's written, it's just very simple, very straightforward, and it's a novel that I recommend to anyone, any age. It's really good. Next up, Before I Fall by Laurie Oliver, which is about a girl who dies, and then she wakes up, and it's the same day she died, and she goes through the day, and she dies again at the end, and then again she wakes up in that same last day, and it's just, she keeps waking up in her last day. And it puts you in perspective about what life is, what can you change, what you can do to make things right. It's a beautiful novel. Kind of traumatizing, but beautiful. It really does go through what it means to be alive, so definitely recommend to anyone that has ever felt at a really low point about what life is all about and stuff. And last, This Is Not a Test by Courtney Summers. I think a lot of us don't realize what life is all about. I don't think anyone actually realizes what life is all about, because it makes no sense. There's like a lot of stuff going on, a lot of bad stuff going on, and it's like, why do we hold on to it? What's the point of holding on when there's so many reasons to let go? And this novel really, it's all about that. The whole novel. It's just so that you can get to that last page, read that, and be like, oh my god. I also found it life-saving. It made me realize what sort of, in a way, life is all about, because it's, like I said, we don't have a freaking clue. But it made me feel very hopeful, and just, it makes you push forward. I've reread it a couple of times, and it keeps making me push forward, always. So I also highly recommend this one to anyone. Now I'm gonna go with books that deal with sexual abuse and such. First up, Just Listen by Sarah Dessen. I read this book when I was 16, and I was reading through the scene where the main character, Annabelle, gets raped. And while I was reading it, I started to get flashbacks of my own abuse memories because I blocked it from my mind. I blocked it since I was like 6 years old. I blocked it, just took it out of my mind, and when I was reading this, it just started to unlock all of those memories. So I went into a crisis when reading this, but it still helped me a lot through it. Next up is Hopeless by Colleen Hoover, which is a book I read a couple of months ago. I don't really remember, but the main character deals with the exact same thing I did. She blocked memories about being abused, and this may be a spoiler, I know that, but it's a book that really helped me go through it. So if you've gone through abuse by a family member or blocked your memories about it, this book is just, it's very hard to swallow everything that happens, but it just makes you feel hopeful at the end. Notice the irony. Well, it makes you realize that you're not hopeless. And last, of course, The Perks of Being a Wallflower by Stephen Chbosky, which is a book that actually can help out with a lot of stuff. There's actually a lot, and you can take out of this book, like, a lot. And very personally for me, it was sympathizing with Charlie, because Charlie was sexually abused by his aunt, and when I was like 6 years old, I was sexually abused by my aunt. Just like Charlie, I blocked the memories until I was old. Charlie here is 16, I think. I blocked them until I was 16 as well. Freaking coincidence. And of course, Charlie worked through it at the age of 16. I did not work through it until I was 19. But I saw the movie first in theaters, and when I saw what it was about, I was just sobbing. And then of course I had to get the book. And I liked the book, but I liked it, but I didn't like it as much as the movie. It was good to read it one time, and I highlighted a lot about it. And if I'm feeling down, I just go back to the parts I highlighted. But in general, I recommend the movie so much. So much. I feel like it goes in deep through a lot of things, and you can see Charlie's recovery and everything. So, the movie, it's just amazing. And it's one of those quick fixes. Whenever I'm feeling down, I just pop in the movie and I feel alive again. And I always cry. That's the one movie that always makes me cry. Okay, so next up I have books that deal with self-harm. And first on the list I have Willow by Julia Hoban, which is about a girl that cuts. But I could not stand this novel. The reason why, it's because there's Willow, who is a girl who has problems with self-harm, who meets this guy named Guy, and Guy magically seems to solve her cutting problems. I am just so tired of people romanticizing the idea of being saved by someone, because that is so not how life works. It just pisses me off that it's like, oh my god, I'm a damsel in distress and I need someone to save me. It's not how it works. Cutting, it's a much more deeper issue, and you need professional help. It's not some guy or person is not magically going to drop off the sky and help you. It's not how it works. Getting over cutting is something that takes hard work, and it's also an addiction, so it's heavy shit. It's heavy shit. Next up I have Impulse by Ellen Hopkins, which deals with a lot of issues by very troubled teens. I have Tilt and Tricks by her, but I've not read them yet, but I know she's written about drugs and like a lot of other issues, and I'm sure they're really good because she's amazing, but I've not read them yet. And we have three main characters, one that's dealing with suicidal problems, one that's dealing with cutting issues, and another one that I think it's also dealing with drugs and sexual abuse, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember very well. But of course I mainly focused on the life of Vanessa, who is the one that's dealing with cutting. Vanessa has a successful recovery, and I loved how she doesn't really stick to it because she does cut here and there and doesn't really follow through with it. And that's sort of how my recovery went, because it's hard to really focus on getting better. But in the end, in the end, Vanessa does make it, so it was really inspiring. Ellen Hopkins writes in a heartbreakingly beautiful way, and I just highly recommend it. And last, and the ultimate book I always recommend to anyone that's ever thought about going into recovery, or especially, you know, if you've dealt with cutting or just any self-harm issue in general, because self-harm goes deeper than just cutting. There's many ways you can self-harm. And it doesn't have to be mental, I mean physically, it can also be at a mental level, so complicated shit. I go with Cut by Patricia McCormick. It's that one book that, it's the book that has made a bigger impact on me, and it's the smallest also I have on my shelf. Cut is a story about a girl that cuts, and she is sent to a treatment center, and she doesn't want to get treated like I think almost everyone. And it's not a love story, it's not exciting, it's not dramatic, it's none of those things. Okay, I just made it sound like the most boring story ever. It's not. It's just such a real story, and the wonder, the charm of the novel is that Patricia McCormick has never ever self-harmed herself, and she wrote this, and everything the main character feels and thinks, they are things that I felt and I thought when I was cutting. It's just the beginning of Callie's way through recovery. The end of the novel, it's just her realizing that she wants to get better. And that's the ultimate point of recovery, and that's the hardest step. And I've always said it, that the most difficult step, I think, in everyone's journey through recovery, and also the most difficult step for me, is realizing that you are worth it. You are worth getting better. And I started my recovery when I was 18, and it wasn't until like 3 weeks ago that I finally said I want to get better, and said it and meant it. Mean it? Meant it? However it is you say it, you get the point. So Cut, highly recommend it if you've ever had issues with cutting or just thought about recovery. It's such a great book, and it's really short. You can read it in one sitting. Highly recommend. I already said that like 3 times, but it's great. So again, I just want to make sure to emphasize on the fact that these are books that helped me personally. So maybe you read them, maybe you liked them, maybe you hated the books I mentioned. Maybe they were not helpful to you at all through any issues, but if they were or whatever, leave your comments in the comment section. Duh. So that's about it. I was very open in this video, and it's freaking me out. It's freaking me out. But I invite you guys to be open also in the comment section, and like I said, recommend books, share your opinions, thoughts, whatever. And if you have any questions about them and you don't want to make it public, you can always send me a private message. And for the record, I just want to say that I'm in a really good place right now, and that when, you know, I still have my bad days sometimes, it's part of it, but whenever I'm feeling down, I can just turn into any of these books, and I know they will help me out through them, do a quick reread, and they will really get my spirits up. So that's it for this video, and I hope it helps any of you guys, and yeah, I don't know what to say or how to end this, so yeah, I'm gonna wrap this up, and that's it for this video. I already said that, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!